Hey everyone, it's the Grumpy Meeple, and I am coming back at you with some more Marvel Zombies shit show related content. This time we're going to look at what I've come to believe is the truly horrific sin that Simon is committing during this campaign, in some ways even worse than the ridiculous fake shipping costs. Um, don't believe what Tom Vassell or his, kind of corporate buddies have to say about it. Nobody else is charging like Simon is charging, and so it makes no sense. Jamie Stegmaier from Stonemaier Games says it makes no sense, or at least that he doesn't see how it makes sense based off the market, and like reality. But I'm coming to think that this little 2-page survey that you have to complete in the Pledge Manager is actually far more heinous than even the shipping charges. And I'd like to break down why. So, when you enter the Pledge Manager, this is like the first thing you see. Questions, answer a few questions about your pledge level. And you have to agree to them to move forward. So, first of all, it should be clear to anybody who's viewing this that the necessity for this, for agreeing to this terms and conditions, was not communicated prior to the end of the campaign, to my knowledge. If it was, if somebody out there thinks that, yeah, they told us about this, they told us we're going to have to agree to this, feel free to correct me and cite your sources or whatever. But to my knowledge, this was never stated that you were going to have to agree to a terms and conditions that you hadn't even read yet in order to get your pledge shipped to you. And that alone is just absolutely heinous. Because, you see, at this point, Simon has you trapped, essentially, right? You've already pledged, the campaign has ended, so your pledge is locked in, basically. And you have one of two options. You can agree to this, or say you agree to it, even if you don't agree to it, or agree with it, and get your pledge shipped to you, or you can ask for a refund, and Simon and their partners will take 10 to 17% of your core pledge, and as a fee, essentially, for backing out. But there is no option to not agree to this and get all of your money back. And that's where this gets super, super shady. Because what Simon has done is they've essentially forced their customer base to agree to this terms and conditions after they've already taken their money. Like, I can't. It just shouldn't. This shouldn't work like this. There's no precedent for this in CMON that I'm aware of. They have never had a statement like this previously in front of one of their pledge managers. They and the sense that I have is that this may well be a reaction to some of the problems that they've been having with Marvel United X-Men and the amount of broken miniatures and broken game pieces that have been coming through in that campaign, that they may have taken a look at where they were at with Marvel United X-Men and basically said, "Oh, whoa, we can't. This is costing us a lot of money. We need to CYA. We don't want to be replacing all this stuff." And so they just decided, hey, well, we don't have to wait till the next campaign and we don't have to communicate it beforehand. We'll just slap it onto our previous campaign where we already took their money. So not only are we going to charge them an insane amount that makes no goddamn sense for shipping, but we're going to backdoor them into this terms and conditions to where the only choice they have is either to agree or to acknowledge their agreement, I should say, or not get anything and lose, some of these pledges were $600 and 15, 17%. That's not an insignificant amount of money going to CMON for doing nothing, essentially, at this point where manufacturing is still, underway or not even started yet. So let's take a look at this and see just why this is so effed up that they threw this in front of their pledge manager. So this all is pretty much boilerplate. It's telling you the money that you pledged on Kickstarter is being imported into your survey. You can edit your pledge as you like. And you have until June 30th to complete this pledge manager if you want to get your stuff. If you have any questions, please click on the Need Help to check our FAQ and or reach out to the support team. I kind of don't know. There it is. Well, let's actually just take a look at this real quick. I'm curious to see if this covers this ridiculous... Yeah, there's nothing here about the terms and conditions, so they're not acknowledging it there either. So they're not acknowledging this in the Need Help. They didn't acknowledge it prior to the end of the campaign. And so this thing really just kind of came out of nowhere. And they note here, these are the territories that we need to ship to, blah, 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 blah. It's a bunch of countries, obviously. Terms and conditions. This is where this gets really nasty, in my opinion. By confirming your order, you agree that this sale is final and no refunds will be issued except at our absolute discretion. You further acknowledge that the final look, materials, and content of the order and the project are subject to change and may differ substantially from what is presented on Kickstarter or other relevant sites. This alone is a little bit creepy to me. We understand that these things are renders that, especially CMON, because one of the things that I hate about them is the fact that they don't ever have any physical product on hand for any of their campaigns anymore. It's all renders during the campaign. It's all bullshit. And so, yeah, CMON, guess what? We're damn clear that you don't have anything to show about this fucking campaign when you run it. But the idea that these things could differ substantially is a little disturbing because, like, for instance, does that mean that the Galactus miniature could be 20 inches instead of 24 inches? That's a substantial difference that I don't think a lot of people would be very happy about or 16 inches instead of 24 inches. This basically allows them to change whatever they want after the campaign, and there's nothing you can do about it. They can just do it because you clicked this thing. So this bothers me right off the bat. You agree that our responsibility to you is to ship your order as entered into our pledge manager system. That's fine. That title and risk passes to you upon delivery to a common carrier for such shipment. This, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know exactly what this means, but the way I read this is that CMON is absolving themselves of responsibility for shipping related damage. Title and risk passes to you upon delivery to a common carrier for the shipment. So once this gets handed off to the cargo dock or to FedEx or whoever, CMON is saying, we're good. If that is not what this means, CMON, if you're watching this, feel free to reach out and correct me. That's what I assume it means, and so I'm going to base the whole rest of my argument based off my assumptions, since y'all are cowering in your little holes and not responding to anyone on social media, on the Kickstarter. You're not posting updates. You posted one for Undead or Alive, and like, did you think no one was going to notice that your kind of normal cadence of Friday updates just happened to skip Marvel Zombies when a massive shitstorm just exploded in your face? I mean, so they're not acknowledging people on social media. They're not getting out there and talking about this. They're just kind of hiding from it and hoping people stop being pissed. So if I'm wrong about this, somebody correct me. But I read this to say, once this thing gets handed over to somebody for shipping, you're responsible for it. We're not responsible for it. And they go on to say, and you are responsible for import duties or any other duties that may be payable to the relevant tax authorities. So this is probably a pretty standard, this is VAT, I believe. You are also responsible for providing correct address information and ensuring the address is deliverable by normal methods. Refunds will be the net of all handling costs, Kickstarter commissions, and credit card processing fees. Refunds and or cancellation requests will only be considered before we begin the process of packaging your pledge for shipping. If you do not accept these terms, please do not confirm your order. This is the death blow to CMON's kind of moral standing in the industry. You can't put this here after people have already fucking paid you. This whole goddamn thing needed to be on the fucking campaign page. Like, because, again, sneaky, people, you've already got our money. You've already stated that, even in this statement, before you get to this point, you're stating that, hey, if we refund you, it's going to be minus all this other stuff. And so you're not really giving people a free option to not accept these terms. You're giving them the option to pay you for doing nothing if they don't accept these terms, or to accept these terms or else, essentially. And so this is so fucked up to me. And again, if you're out there, if you're watching this and you're thinking to yourself, what is this guy all fired up about? Sounds fine to me. Explain to me how I'm misreading this. But when this thing popped up, I glossed over it because the shipping was so ridiculous and it was so in your face that I decided to wail on them about that. But going back through and seeing this terms and conditions, and the fact that you were never given a choice of not handing some of your money over to CMON and to Kickstarter, basically. Because these terms and conditions were not put in front of you when that was still an option, which was during the campaign. And so to have them slip this in at essentially the last minute for the consumer, to have them waving off on responsibility for the delivery of this thing intact. They're basically just only taking responsibility for printing a shipping label and putting it into a box and handing it to a carrier. Once that's done, they're not taking responsibility for it anymore. And they don't say anything here about replacements or about, damage to items and such, which they actually do in the actual Kickstarter campaign. pull it up. Go all the way to the bottom of this shit show. So here they do have the terms and conditions laid out. But you can see this is different. This is not even the same wording as the terms and conditions that are in front of you in the backer kit. And there is nothing here that states that you are going to be required to agree to this formally through this process. And there's nothing, this wording about damage and sole responsibility is not here. What is here is their boilerplate statement that is usually in these campaigns, where they say, to make sure you have the best game experience, all CMON products are warranted against manufacturing defects for 2 years from the date of purchase. If you open your game and see that something is missing or broken, our customer service team will work hard to get you replacement parts and to make things right. So, is this not true anymore? Because it's not in the terms and conditions. It's not on the second page. This is all just specific stuff about the Wave shipping options. It's unclear to me if this is even going to be honored or not. And the fact that they felt the need to alter the wording of this terms and conditions section, they do still talk about the substantial difference between what they show you and what you get. I still think this is shitty. I think it should just be reworded to say may differ somewhat. Substantial is concerning to me just because, again, that could be a total change in the scale of the whole project. They could say, oh, no, it's 28 millimeter now instead of 32. And that would be unacceptable to a lot of people. But going back through this, see, they even say here, we may, at our discretion, refund your pledge if you contact us after the 8-week window has elapsed, if you don't log into the pledge manager. Which, again, is also not here. They're saying here, refunds will be the net of all handling costs, Kickstarter commissions, and credit cards. Will only be considered before we begin the process of packaging your pledge, blah, blah, blah. So the terms and conditions have completely changed from what they even had on the pledge page, which is either deliberately deceptive, putting this here and then making you, and by doing so, maybe calming your concerns. People saw this and they were like, oh, okay, yeah, this looks good. They're going to replace stuff if it comes in broken. So they pledge. The campaign ends, locking that pledge in, and then they make you agree to this, where they say, no, sales final, no refunds, except at our absolute discretion. This stuff can show up broken, and we're not responsible for it, and if you don't like it, eat shit and die, as Marcus Phoenix would say. So I don't know what the hell is going on here. I don't know what they're thinking. People out there, if you're looking at this, if you're reading this and you're hunky-dory with this and this seems fine to you, let me know. Let me know why. Maybe I'm way off on this. This campaign kind of rubbed me wrong right from the beginning, and so it's totally possible that despite the fact that I am heavily invested in CMON products and love and play and advocate for many of them, it's totally possible that I'm just like a sour Gus on this, but I don't think that's what's going on. I think what's going on is that the terms and conditions that were listed during the campaign are different than the terms and conditions that were listed on the pledge manager. And and if that if that's the case, and if they've decided to get more hardcore about kind of not offering these replacements for damages, then it just seems really, really shady to me that they just threw this in on the pledge manager after you were already essentially committed at some level. Because either way, at this point, if you ask for a refund, you're not getting all your money back. You're getting part of it back. And if you want your game, you have to agree to this. So this seems incredibly shady to me, and I'm interested to hear what other people think. And again, I think that this is the truly nefarious thing that they're pulling in this pledge manager. At least there's no rationale for the shipping costs, but at least that's like theoretically understandable. This changing these terms and conditions, forcing a terms and conditions on you post purchase, a terms and conditions that might not be in your best interest or that you might not agree with, is just dark. And I don't even know that it's legal. I'm wondering what the Better Business Bureau would think about this practice. And so I'm really interested to hear what other people think. Let me know in the comments. If you're a content creator and out there and you're watching this and you have thoughts about this, let me know. Would love to get this out to as many people as possible. So I'd be happy to sit down with anybody and talk about why this is so messed up and get it in front of more people and stir the pot on this, because we can't allow this giant faceless megacorp to pull this kind of crap on us, or else it'll just never end. The next campaign pledge manager will have a slightly more built out terms and conditions that wasn't communicated to you during the campaign, that will strip you of some other basic essential right of purchase. This could just be the test balloon. They could just be seeing, let's see how much pushback we get on this. It's vague enough. We left them a little bit of wiggle room. We can weasel out of this if we have to. But if people just let this slide by them, we can put whatever the fuck we want in this terms and conditions and screw people left, right, and center. And so I'm interested in anything that will get this in front of more people so that more people can weigh in, make themselves heard to CMON, to the community in general, and whatnot. Because I think this is super messed up and it needs to be seen. And CMON needs to hear from their customers about this. So let me know what you all think, and I will talk to you later.